Hey everybody, it's Mike Young. This is going on 3 different channels I have: Mike Young Real Estate, a digitalnomad.net, and a aPlantBasedDiet.org, because this is something that is impacting everybody, which is, of course, the gap between wages and inflation, which is ever growing. And of course, inflation is winning this race, pulling away from wages. So this guy, Jack Morgan, I watched a lot of his stuff. His stuff is all reaction videos, kind of like I'm doing here. But now I'm reacting to one of his because this one's almost all him talking and not reacting to somebody else's video. So let's get into it. This is going to be a long one, but absolutely worth it.
You know, I wish I had the balls to do this RV life, van life thing, but this is something that fascinates me, and we're going to keep talking about it. This dude right here is a lawyer, and he's living in an RV, and honestly, I think he might be onto something. Just look at this, though. He's a lawyer, but he's like, people think you're broke because you live in an RV.
So he's talking about alternative lifestyles, all right? Because he's discovering, as a guy in his 30s who wants to have a family, that it's nearly impossible to do this in the United States. And that's kind of what this video is going to be about, what his observations are about someone who's trying to do this actively right now, and my reactions as somebody who's 55 years young, and how I've been through it all in terms of lived through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all the 2000s so far, and the trends and things that I've seen, and my commentary on that.
But he's like, dude, I got time in the world, baby. He's flying planes. He's doing speeches.
Yeah, but the problem with RV life is that most of it's illegal. You're parking in areas you can't park for more than a day or so. You got to keep moving on. And if you're parking in the same spot, then you're paying rent, like super high rent.
He's bungee jumping, riding camels, nice cars. I don't really care for sports, but look, parachuting. But I think he's kind of onto something, and it's starting to be one of the only things most people can afford. I mean, he's a lawyer. It's not like just like a regular cat. But like right here, he goes, you're not broke, you're free, right? Like, how much do you think he's paying for that RV? That's what I want to know. The pursuit of happiness. The rich.
You're not broke, you're free, as long as you're not paying lot rent, because lot rent is more than what I was paying for like an apartment in the early 1990s. It's just insane.
People have the least amount of debt. Well, here's the thing. Like, we're going to get into some home prices. You know, you hear that thing, just move rural, move out of the city. Well, I've been looking, and it's really not that many options. Like, look at this price for this called Mansion on Wheels. $4,000 or $4,000 down or $40,000 cash. Now, $40,000 still a good amount of money, but just look at this place.
Yeah, so he's going to pay $40,000 for an RV. And then what are you going to pay for lot rent or a place to park it? I mean, I'd say a minimum like $500 to $1,000 a month, plus all that.
Real quick. And Nestor, you tell me how this looks. I mean, it looks bigger than your apartment, to be honest.
Buy a mansion on wheels for only $4,000 down or $40,000 cash.
But it's just
this
showing
is a 2018 Cedar Creek 38 FLX front living.
Let's speed through this because
we're making $3.80 an hour starting out. That's great. That's great.
So I paid $2,700 a month in rent instead. This is kind of where it's backwards, and I do agree. I don't know if it should be $66 an hour for minimum wage. But right here, I had some of your thoughts from the second channel.
Yeah, okay, Jack's probably finding out for the first time that you really need to earn 6 figures. $100,000 is like the minimum you need to buy the cheapest house in any state in the United States. That's on average. So there are going to be some cheaper areas within certain states, but that's pretty much the benchmark now. It used to be like $100,000, 6 figures, you were like living like kings, and now that's the entry level. You need that to get in.
Let's go over there real quick. This was from the $66 an hour minimum wage video. Some of you guys. It goes, in the 70s, a family of 7 lived in a 1,500 square foot home. Parents' room, bunk beds, other 2 rooms, and basement finished with another room. The problem.
That's another factor, is that the average size of the average house is ballooned, it's exploded, and the average family keeps getting smaller and smaller. We can't even replace our own population now. So there's a giant disconnect there, for sure, in the housing stock of the United States.
Problem is, people today think they need 2,500 square feet.
Let's fast forward to this. All right, this is where he starts looking at, this is where he starts looking at houses in the U.S. This is what I want to get into, this spot right here.
This is rural Florida. You see how there is nothing for sale?
Yes.
Under $300,000?
It used to be cheap.
This
What Jack may not remember is that Florida, until about 10 to 15 years ago, was one of the least expensive states to live in the United States. It was down at the bottom of the cost level. But now it's leapfrogged everybody. It's up near the top. Just to give you an example, he's talking about rural Florida. I bought my house in rural Florida, an actual house, not big, small, okay, but an actual concrete block house. I bought it 11 years ago at the kind of the end of that housing crisis that was brought on by all the foreclosures, when Florida was still like one of the cheapest states in the U.S., and I paid $14,000 for the house, if you can believe that.
This is what we're getting at. Okay, we're gonna do Florida last, but I think there is something to be said about us wanting too much.
Yeah,
but
for
I
sure.
don't think that's the case. Let's go to Michigan, okay? In the Detroit area, I'm pretty familiar, and this is somewhere me and my woman have been thinking about moving to. We really.
Okay, just so you know about Jack, and I'm going to link his video in the comments. He watch a lot of his videos. He does great reaction videos. He's down in South Florida. He was in California before, but now he's down, when I say south, I mean the Miami side, like Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area. And he's probably finding out that, oh my gosh, everything's so expensive, because Florida's been like the cool kid on the block, like kind of like North Carolina, other places that just pumped up the values. And so now if he wants to start fresh, start new from the beginning, and he wants to have a relationship or a marriage and have children, he's looking anywhere where he can find what he needs. And as I pointed out earlier, you need 6 figures at the minimum just to go anywhere in the U.S. right now.
Really have, because of the prices. So right here, St. Clark Shores, or St. Clair Shores, is actually really nice, but 2 bedrooms, 3 bath, $285,000. Probably has a basement. Very nice home. Look at the yard in that, right? But here is the dirt cheap houses that people are talking about. For right here, this is in Detroit. It comes.
$30,000. There are cheap ones, but they're in the worst. Keep this in mind: the worst areas where the least amount of people are willing to live. The least, so they're not really options for anybody.
With a Kia Soul in the driveway, you know it's good. This one, $30,000. Okay, 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. You're basically buying a plot of land because this place is falling apart. It's probably condemned. You see what I'm saying? This is what you get for 30 grand. So no matter what
but when I bought my house for $14,000, keep in mind it's $14,000 when I bought it. Okay, this is probably the equivalent of that house from 11 years ago. You're going to have to redo everything, but it's okay. Whenever you're buying, Jack may not realize this, as he's not really been a homeowner very long, or not for a long period of time. But unless your house is brand new, if it's brand new, you get maybe 10 years if you can control yourself and not have to decorate like crazy. But if you can, then you get 10 years where nothing breaks. And then after that, it's constant things breaking. Any house over 10 years is constant. You're going to end up within the first 5 to 10 years replacing everything in that structure. That's just the way homeownership goes.
Refix this whole place unless you're Bob the Builder.
Yeah, so don't think about this isn't as bad as it looks because of what I just said. You're just speeding up that process by which you're going to have to replace everything, because you're going to have the money to do it anyway. So it should scare you if you don't have any free cash buying a house. Don't buy a house in that position.
Which most of us are not. You're going to have to redo this whole place. There are deals out there, but this is Detroit, guys. Okay, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's not great.
Yep.
All right.
That's what you get for
okay,
the
but right
cost.
here, though, we can find some pretty good deals. And remember what I said about being kind of brainwashed, okay? Brainwashed into thinking $285,000 is a great deal for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,900 square feet. This does probably come with a basement, though. I'm not saying this is a bad deal. I'm just saying that's how.
It's not a bad deal for the market, but everything is a bad deal for somebody who's just starting out, unfortunately. I mean, it used to be the U.S. was the only place that people would want to go to. Like, oh, the U.S., yeah, the best country on earth. And I don't hear that so much anymore. And people start to realize that places out of the U.S. are a lot, of course, they're a lot more affordable, but they make way more sense. They're way more attractive than the U.S.
How far gone it is for a starter, basic starter home. All right.
Yeah.
But for instance, I'm so brainwashed that I'm thinking to myself, yes, for $250K, something I can afford, I will relocate states
Up to
to
the
somewhere
Great White
where
North.
it snows half of the fucking year. Okay?
Yeah.
It's freezing. And I'll up my life for this steal of a deal. For a basic 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1970s.
Okay, let me also point out that from my knowledge of real estate, I've definitely seen it the last couple of years as prices have spiked in the South because everyone's been moving from the Rust Belt to the Sun Belt, that people have started to move back north because the prices look really attractive, just like he's saying. And I have seen the resurgence of the North, the resurgence of the Rust Belt, and the prices are starting to climb over there. So it's interesting because this is the first time in my life, I'd say, and I'm 55, that I've seen the Rust Belt start to be more attractive than the Sun Belt, just like he's saying.
He's 1,700 square feet house. That's where we're kind of getting at here. And the list goes on and on and on. Okay? But remember, these houses, even if you're making $66 an hour, Nestor, do the math on that. $66 an hour, that's what? That's $2,000 a week. That's $100,000 a year. You're still to make $100,000 a year.
There you go.
This is what you're dealing with. Check my math
That's
on
the
that,
price
would
of
you?
entry.
Just in case.
I think his
this
math
is what you're dealing
correct.
with, guys. This is what we're all dealing with.
That's why other
We're going to
countries
go back
are
to the
looking
RVs too, because I'm starting to think people are
attractive.
onto something here. And I don't envy these people. I actually kind of commend them. Before we go
I mean, the RV people or people who live like Denise and I live out of our vehicle basically in the winter. It's just a different way to go. And you can do it now because you can have an electric vehicle instead of internal combustion. You can have all the comforts of home, like including HVAC 24/7. You can do these things that you couldn't do in the past. And this is kind of a reaction of the market to that, because in the past, the only thing to do was the traditional route. And their prices reflected that, I suppose. But now they can charge more because it's a premium product.
to Alabama, what do we got on that?
That's around 130K.
Okay, so 130K. This is what you can comfortably afford.
Denise and I visited Alabama like a year and a half ago. I was really impressed with certain areas of that, especially around Huntsville area, Rocket City. I think the highest level of people with postgraduate degrees in just about anywhere in the U.S. or one of the top cities. It's not a city, really. It's a town. And it's just a really nice place and fairly affordable. I know this guy says no, I'm not doing Alabama. No way, no way. But that part of Alabama is just like a unicorn in a way. If you're looking for like a place that if you dropped in from anywhere else and didn't know how you got there, you wouldn't say that you were in Alabama. And the rest of the state is different, but that place is it's a standout.
Okay. And remember, we got a lot of families out here. 2 people working together, not even making $130K a year.
Yes.
All right. But even in Alabama, I don't know what the fuck. Look up what the leading industry of Alabama is. I don't even know what you fucking do there. Okay. But I will say there are some nice places. 195K. Look at this place.
And a
Look
lot
at
of
this
these
quaint
places
house.
around Huntsville, he might show them that there are like 3 sides or 4 sides brick veneer, which is like a premium home in most areas, even if it's small, but that's fine. It's a nice quality, small house and an affordable rate and good neighbors. It's really, for the U.S., if you ask me, it's one of the top places in my mind.
House in Alabama. Now tell me, are you going to up and move your life to go for this steal of a deal for $200,000? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet.
Not bad.
I mean, it's a beautiful home.
It's like
Don't
a
get
lot
me
of
wrong.
bricks on there, maybe 4 sides brick.
But I'm having a hard time saying yes. I don't want to live in Alabama.
Yeah, well, he's only
Stuff
lived
like
in
healthcare,
Miami suburbs and like Southern California. Keep this in mind.
trucking, transportation, retail, food, welders, and carpenters are common and growing careers in Alabama.
Can you look up what the average wage in Alabama is? Like what the average yearly salary is on that?
It's going to be
Right
lower.
here. This is a beautiful home.
That's what keeps the prices low. That looks like all brick.
3,000 square feet, 5-bed, 3-bath,
Yeah,
230K.
That's a great deal.
That seems like
Huntsville.
a steal. I don't even have $230,000 to
great-
my name.
If that's more than 1 side brick, which I believe it is, you're not going to touch that for under $500,000 or more anywhere else.
But I'm sitting here going, I couldn't even go buy that cash. But on the other hand, right? Let's go back to TikTok. But on the other hand, I can afford a $40,000 RV. What's the average wage there in Alabama? Does it say?
$50K.
$50K.
That's
So even
low.
with $50K a year, most of those houses in Alabama,
Huntsville's higher.
you might not even, you can swing it, but it's by the hair of your dick, dude. It's by the hair on your nipple, okay? Minimum wage is meant.
I'd actually say that Alabama is underserved in the housing market. I mean, it's like a hidden gem still. I think that there's a lot of positive there, a lot going on, a lot of upward momentum. People like this guy, Jack, aren't going to notice it because he's got so many personal biases against it. But that's just because of a lack of knowledge, I would say. You always want to get in early.
To be a livable wage. It is not a livable wage. Yes, that is actually a fact. It was supposed to be a livable wage. That's what we're all getting at here. All right. But right here, this lady kind of explains why she moved into an RV. But this is kind of like your regular person's thing now. This is what you... And I'm dealing with this too. I mean, I'm making great money, but who wants to pay $4,000 a month for your mortgage? I fucking don't. I don't. That's...
Keep in mind, too, he's always lived under his means. Beneath his means, which is great. Actually, he's had roommates when he didn't need to, all kinds of things. He drives a 40-year-old car. Keep this in mind. The average person's also not willing to do those things. But he's realizing that, hey, even if I wanted to have my own place, it's too damn expensive. I'm going to be a wage slave for the rest of my life. That's basically what he's discovering. And that's how it is here in the U.S. now, because inflation has outpaced the growth in average wages. So you become a wage slave in most cases, unless you got to get creative. And that's what the RV thing is. It's creativity, but there's other ways to get creative too, I think, in the U.S. and also going somewhere else, another country. It's not like it used to be. They're not isolated anymore. You've got the internet. You've got Starlink. Even if you're out in the Amazon rainforest, like we have a house out there, you got Starlink. No problem. You're not isolated.
That's the average person in Alabama's wage a year, just in fucking rent, just in a mortgage. It's hard to say yes to it, is my point. Even if you are making the money, it's hard to say yes to that.
Yeah, because keep in mind, from Jack's point of view, it's hard to say yes because he's not able to live below his means. And everybody who gives financial advice that's worth anything, that's the number one thing they're going to tell you. Live below your means for as long as you can, and then you can do whatever you want. But if you're never able to live below your means, and that's what he's getting at here, you will never be able to accumulate any kind of real wealth, and you'll be a wage slave.
I don't know.
So I moved into my RV, and let me tell you why, okay? Now, I know we all tired of robbing Peter just to pay Paul for somebody else's bills on the first of the month. So I came up with the bright idea that I'm going to purchase me some land. I'm going to get me an RV, and I'm going to...
Oh, by the way, just because you buy land doesn't mean you can park an RV there. In most cases, it's illegal, unless it's an accessory to an existing permitted, completed dwelling unit structure, and it's in the side or backyard. And sometimes you can only park for certain time limits. And you can find this all out in your county code, which is posted online. I know that most people don't discuss that point, but I need to make sure to make that totally clear. That's why you end up being forced to go and pay lot rent somewhere like you're a mobile home, or just keep moving every single day.
I'm going to move it on that land. Now, was I scared as fuck? Hell yeah. But you got to get it done, because I'm not going to be stuck in this rat race of trying to keep up with the Joneses so everybody else see that I'm living this American dream.
Yeah, she's trying to also live below her means, and she's finding out that that is just no longer possible.
No. So I came up with that bright idea, and that was the best decision I ever made for my peace. And if you want to get your peace too, I dropped a step-by-step guide giving you every detail of what sites I got my land from, what sites I use to buy my...
Let's see what Jack...
Living in the RV is this comment right here. That is the equivalent of what this person is saying. That's kind of the hardest thing about it.
All right, what he's saying is that living in the RV is like the old American dream from the 1970s. That's the kind of money it takes, the same kind of money, because of the gap between inflation and average wages. And I would agree with that. So that's why you got to start looking at alternatives. And like I said, it used to be in the 1970s and 80s, it was the United States, number one. We're not going anywhere else. And of course, we were isolated communications-wise back in the 70s and 80s, but now we're in a different paradigm. So you got to start looking outside the U.S. And you can still stay in touch with everyone, video chatting 24/7 if that's what you want to do. It's just that you have to realize, I know no one told you this, all the people that raised you, if you're an adult listening to this, didn't tell you this, but it's time you learn it. Learn it as fast as you can.
That's the hardest part for me, at least, when I really, really think about it. I mean, Nestor, like, not to be nihilistic, but how do you look at yourself moving forward? Like a home, the American dream. Like, what do you, like, honestly, what's like your...
Nestor is his like sidekick, kind of like his Johnny Carson. And he's his Ed McMahon to the Johnny Carson. I'm dating myself.
How do you feel about it? I never ask you this.
Paul for
You're
David
28-year-old
Letterman.
man.
It's kind of insane that we have to, land is a natural resource. And it's crazy that we got to pay for it.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking. And it is true. If you kind of take a deep dive from a thought perspective here, I mean, is housing something you should have to work hard to pay for, and harder over time because that gap keeps increasing between inflation and wages? Or should everyone just be given a place to live and then you work for the extras? You know, that's something to think about.
Yeah, because you get a lot of stuff. Well, this one's a little extreme. Guy's got the AC unit in his van. This is next level stuff. I thought that was just kind of funny. Not funny, but just wild. But, like, you hear this shit about, like, moving to other countries and all this stuff. And I'm starting to think people are onto something.
Yes.
The only downside is like, we're going to have to learn how to live with, like, way, I mean, the bare minimum stuff.
Okay. Not necessarily. I would say that you realize, depending upon what country you're going to, that you're going to have a dramatically higher standard of living for less money. As long as you're going to a place that, you know, it's kind of like looking in Detroit or downtown Detroit in the bad side of town. But it's all up and coming because more and more people are becoming expats, is what they call them, and are looking for these opportunities. And like I said, the communications are there. And the other thing is the health. Okay, this is why this is going on our nonprofit channel, because 90% of all medical costs in the U.S. are due to non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases are things that you cannot catch from someone else, which means you created this health condition through your lifestyle. The American lifestyle is just chronically bad. It creates the disease, especially the food that almost everyone eats and is sold here, all the prepared foods and everything like that. So when you go to the right country, you can grow your own plants, your own food, and you can cure all your illnesses, and you just will never get sick for the most part. And some of these countries have free medical care as well, depending upon which country. So I don't think Jack's really taken a deep dive, but I just want to let you know. And that's why we are in the Terra Frutis community of Ecuador, in the Amazon rainforest in eastern Ecuador. If you want to learn more about our house that we have there, and it's on Airbnb, lacasamasalta.org or healthoptimizationtravel.org, you'll find more stuff there on our nonprofit site, because we've been there for 5 years now. We built a house, and we really want to tell people about this new way of living. It's really old, but it is the right way to do things. It just makes sense now.
It's kind of where I'm getting at. This one was a little nuts.
Did you know that property tax?
The houseboat thing. I always thought that was cool. Living on a boat, no taxes.
You can do
I always
that.
thought that was dope. But this takes a next level special kind of person.
Yeah.
But that's kind of...
And living on a boat, I mean, how are you going to grow your own food? How are you going to improve your health? That's the thing. That's not really a thing. That's why we're in Ecuador in the Amazon rainforest, because we think it checks off almost all the boxes.
I don't know where I'm getting at with this. I have to cut some of this out. But back to the Alabama deal. Actually, you know what? Let's go to Florida. We didn't do Florida. Let's finish this out with Florida. Now, right here, remember what I said, rural area, right? Well, a lot of these places in Florida that have these affordable homes.
Okay, I know Florida really well. We have a number of places in Florida, properties where we are wanting to have projects going. It's a place that people move to as their consciousness level rises in general. And it's very popular from that perspective. People are open-minded. People are trying to elevate society and humanity. So it's become very expensive. I also know intimately what's happened with the prices there. So let's hear what Jack has to say.
The industry is not great. That is why these houses are cheap.
Yeah.
So, for instance, right here, Port St. Lucie.
Well, consider
For
what
your
cheap
basic standard starter kit home, cute little quaint place, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, just under $200,000.
Okay, keep in mind that 10 to 15 years ago, that house was probably definitely less than 100,000. Probably more like 50 is my guess. Maybe even lower if it was a fixer-up.
Which seems like a deal of a lifetime, right? Most of these people living in Port St. Lucie, you know what they have to do? This is how extreme it is. They drive from here all the way to here. So this is their commute.
Yeah, it's a distant suburb. That's definitely been picking up in the U.S., but think about it. Take this to its logical end. What's the farthest distant suburb you can commute from? Work remotely. It's another country. It's anywhere on earth. That's where we are now. Just keep that in mind. That's where we are.
To afford this steal of a deal. That's what's going on here. That's what's going on. But these are your options. Right here. This is like in the middle of fucking nowhere. Okay? Middle of nowhere. Only $79,000. They can't sell this place to save their life. Because it probably shouldn't be.
It's not it's probably in a flood area. When I say flood, I mean it's going to flood regularly. There's plenty of places that are too low in Florida. That's another problem with Florida. So then you pay a premium for something that you know is not going to be constantly taking on water like a boat. I don't think he understands all that too.
$79,000. Okay? But would you rather buy this for $79,000, guys? Is this what you want for 79 grand?
That's flooded for sure. Too low.
Or would you rather the motorhome? I'm going to say my money would probably be better spent with the motorhome.
You can't live in that one.
Or just the piece of land itself without the piece of shit on it.
Yeah, it's 80 grand for just the land.
But this is the kind of stuff you get.
Makes sense.
I'm a big advocator for hustling and getting the money. I really am. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $300,000. Fucking middle of St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg. Oh, St. Pete's nice. Okay. I'm a big.
It is a nice area, although it gets hurricanes like crazy. Wait till you see what the property taxes are going in. They're 2% of whatever you buy it for, whatever it's worth the day that you close. And then the insurance may be double what that annual tax payment is. And I could go on and on. There's reasons why people are going up to the Rust Belt now.
Big advocate for get your money, right? Right? Work 7 days a week if you have to.
I also want to say that property taxes, you get relief in Florida, but only if you bought low, you locked in at that value, and then you got your homestead credit so that they cannot increase your property taxes more than 3% a year at maximum. But those days are long gone. Now you get the welcome wagon from hell with the taxes that come due immediately within the year of you buying. And then, of course, if you have a mortgage, wait till you see what the property tax insurance is. So many insurers have left the state. That's the welcome wagon from hell in Florida.
But there's no denying that something's up.
What's the most important thing to you when you look at properties besides the price?
Can you afford it?
Yeah.
Can you afford it comfortably?
Yeah.
Okay. This is kind of
When he says comfortably, he's saying, I want to live below my means, which I think is admirable. And it's something you would really rather have. And I would only ever advocate for you living below your means. And he's basically realizing it's not possible. It's not possible. He's not even talking about Southern California, but that's even worse than Florida.
This is just what blows my mind about what's going on here. This is something you cannot argue with. Yep. I don't even know where the fuck this place is. 150 grand seems like a steal, but I think it's like in the middle of nowhere here.
That's Eustis, Florida.
I think this is...
Yeah, that's Central Florida, but also that one probably is on low ground. I can see that it's not built up around the house. I could just tell it's built a while ago, built on low ground. And the problem with Florida is even if it was okay when you built it and it didn't flood, when I say flood, I just mean a couple inches of water on the floor after a heavy rainstorm. It doesn't have to be any more than that. Your house is ruined. But when neighboring properties, especially large tracts of land, get built up with a tract home builder, they come in and they raise the ground way up. And every time they do these projects, the ground is higher up than it was 5-10 years ago because they realized that they were too low in the past. And what that does is that all the other properties that are lower, that never used to flood, now they get runoff from this higher ground and they start to flood. And we're seeing this all over the state of Florida.
Literally in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it is. Wait. Let me see something. Right here. Middle of fucking nowhere, Florida. Right here. The dead middle of the state. Not a beach nearby.
Yeah, nobody wants to live there. They never have because they want to be on the coast. But that's what's suffering the rising sea issues and the hurricanes, full impact of hurricanes. Most of the properties in the center of Florida have much lower property taxes. Not property taxes, but insurance costs, because by the time a hurricane comes inland, it loses steam quickly.
Nothing. Yeah. And it's a manufactured home, $225,000.
A lot of manufacturing.
There's no arguing something is fucking wrong here. Let me look at the history. This place can't even be that old. It sold for $4,000. I think it was just a plot of land that sold.
Yeah.
In 2022, they tried selling it for $250,000. They can't sell it. They can't sell it for 3 years. They can't sell it.
$250,000 for a mobile.
Oh, yeah, they can. Sold right here for $40,000. Look at this shit. Is this even real?
Too.
Like, could you imagine? This is look at this. 40 grand. Let's turn around and sell it for.
Right, if that was 2020, that was the land only before they brought the house on.
5.5 times the price. This is what we're dealing with, guys.
Or it could be too low.
So I don't blame people. You start seeing this shit about people living in fucking RVs. But this doesn't seem like a bad deal. Honestly, this is kind of where it is.
Like I said, it is a bad deal if you factor in lot rent and you're not going to be driving from one place to another every single day.
Is this frozen or something? All right. I think
Let me go to where he's just talking about stuff after this, because this goes on and on. Looking at prices, we already know what the dynamic is here in the U.S. Let's see where. Okay, here he is.
Today, I'm tapped out of houses, but you guys leave your thoughts on. Like, I really am thinking about it. I don't know if I could do the RV thing. I think I would rather go to another country before I did the RV deal.
I'm seeing that for sure.
Nestor, you want to live in an RV?
The idea seems nice, but I don't think I could last.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah. I'm not saying it can't be done.
It's nice if you want to go to a different place every day, if you can work remotely, if you want to see things like national parks, do things. You can even live in an RV all around the world, not just in the U.S., but most people don't do that. They don't want to do that. It's too tiring. They end up renting a plot of land, and it's more than they would cost, or almost as much as it would cost them to rent an apartment.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, and then you're in these areas that you're so close together with the other RVs that you might as well be in a city or an apartment building. It's kind of like camping, these campsites that have all these tent spaces or RV spaces close to each other. I don't know why anyone does that. It's just like being in a city. You're not being out in nature.
I'm saying I don't know if I could do it, like long term.
You'd have to try it out for a bit.
I don't know if I could do it, and I don't know if my lady would want to do it. And
Yeah.
then I want to have kids, right?
Most
How do
people
you
wouldn't
do
do it.
that?
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and most people want comfort, and that's very unstable. There's a lot of uncertainty. Most people, I'd say, cannot handle that.
I spoke to a guy recently. He wanted to do a brand partnership deal, and he makes great money.
There you go.
And he's living in Mexico.
He's in Mexico, yeah.
White guy, gringo. And he said it's like spectacular. And I keep thinking to myself, like, but I'm in a position where I make remote money. We've said this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You don't go to Mexico to make pesos.
Yeah, and I'd say that to keep in mind, this is also another factor in the housing market. Of course, the large corporations like BlackRock are buying up houses like crazy in the U.S. Lots of other foreign citizens are buying U.S. property because you don't have to have U.S. citizenship in order to buy. And then there's many countries where you don't have to have their citizenship in order to buy. And I think Mexico is one of them. And but because you can work remotely, that's also made housing more of a premium in the United States now, where it didn't used to be, because everybody had to have one here to earn a living. And now it's optional. You go somewhere else.
You go there with your American dollars.
Yep.
That's the one issue. And I do think, like, back to what you said, I really do think that that's kind of an issue. It's like reverse, like how people from Haiti and everything move here.
Yeah.
And then the ghettos are like high class compared to their countries. But then when people like me, if I go move to Mexico, I'm bringing this money in there.
Yeah.
So it's making these prices go up. Like we just saw Alabama, guys.
Yeah.
Don't make me pull up the Purple House. This is a big factor, though. This is like a big thing, and I don't know the answer, but like even someone, when you hear people talk about like, oh, I make 150 grand a year, and people are making like really good money, also say it's too much.
Yeah, it is.
They're not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think that if you just start making 200 grand a year, that like you could just go get any house you want. You'll quickly find out, like, oh shit. Like, I'm looking.
I'd say that $250,000 a year is the new $100,000 a year.
At houses that somebody making $60,000 a year should be looking at. So what are the people making $60,000 a year looking at?
They can't do anything. They're stuck.
RVs.
Yeah, that's it.
Guadalajara. Guam. Guam might be a little extreme. Thailand. You get my point.
I heard though sometimes they don't like the people who live in those countries when a gringo comes in, like for example Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
That's true. I mean, there's a lot of, it's kind of like anywhere, places in the U.S. It's like, hey, you're not from around here. Go back to where you're from. There's always that, no matter where you go, even in the U.S.
Well, in Puerto Rico, a bunch of millionaires move there.
Yeah, because they have like really cheap taxes in Puerto Rico.
The native people of Puerto Rico aren't too happy with them.
Of course they're not. That's like a lot of Americans being pissed about other people coming here.
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
It's not right.
Except for put it in reverse. Put it in reverse. They're mad about people bringing money there, but it's upping the value of their places. It's making it so that everybody can't afford it.
Yeah.
Here, it's the opposite. You have a bunch of poor people coming in. Not all of them.
Okay, I would not say that. He doesn't understand. Like, I'm a licensed realtor in North Carolina. I serve the Raleigh area, the Triangle, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and I have a lot of community groups there, and I've seen it over the last 5 years that people who have lived there for generations can no longer afford to live, and they have to leave, and they're very upset about it. And of course, as Jack's finding out, there's very few places to go. I mean, you got to get alternative lifestyles going, alternative living arrangements. The American dream is just, it was crumbling before, but it's completely crumbled at this point.
Are poor. I'm not talking like that. Most of them are making shit wages, but everything's going up.
Great point.
It's in reverse.
Yeah, and so in the other countries, I see it that those people are same as in Raleigh. Like I said, I see people who have lived in these other countries for generations are saying, I can't afford to buy a house in my own place because you Americans are coming in and buying property. It's inflating the values because there's competition for properties. But that's the same thing we've been dealing with in the U.S. It's the same everywhere. They may not realize that, although they have the internet now, they can find out about it. But no matter where you go, don't say, oh, I'm not going to go to another country because I'm not doing that to anybody. I mean, it's happening everywhere. Everywhere. I dare you and I challenge you to tell me a place where that's not happening. Although, unless it's a place like maybe New Zealand or other places that have told the market, no, you cannot buy here unless you are a citizen of our country. That's one way to bring that back into balance.
So when I move to Peru, I'm not moving to Peru, but if I move to Mexico, I'm going to drive that part of the town's revenue up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that houses will go up in value. But here we have people moving in, making less money, bringing in no money. They're taking free money, handouts. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
The government, the taxpayers are supporting them, and it's causing the prices to go up. But that's not the only reason why. Keep this in mind. Jack has just not done a lot of research here. It's because of the large corporate renters, real estate investment trusts buying all the property, people who are from other countries who don't even live here, buying property as investments, the short-term rental market, not a primary residence. That's a giant business these days. All these things are pulling out the supply. There's hardly any supply when you factor all these things in. And of course, the U.S. government printing all this fake fiat currency and causing runaway inflation, which jacks up the value of, commodities such as housing. So it's no longer something that's easy to get. It's something that's very, very difficult to get in the U.S.
But prices are still going up.
True.
But also, I lived in California for a while. The Mexicans, they're willing to do 2 families. I'm talking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Alternative living arrangements are like the normal now. Having roommates, having housemates. It has to be done. It used to be extremely rare when I was growing up. In the 70s and 80s, I think I remember watching Three's Company, and I didn't know anybody who was in a situation like that, But now it's like everybody is. If you're not in that situation, you're unusual.
I'll be there at your daughter's quinceañera, and I don't have to drive. I'll just come out of the bedroom because our family lives in the same bedroom. The barbecue's at our house. 2 families living in the house.
Yeah, this is kind of like, the end stage capitalism or the death of the nuclear family, right? Or I can't remember what's the other way around. I'm not sure if I got my terminology right, but it used to be that families were close, even in the U.S., like close by. Well, you had to because the communications were so bad. Transportation was a major issue. It's not anymore. So now everybody's kind of scattered. They go do their own thing. They decide what they want out of their life, and they just go for it. And if you're not like that and you want to stay all together, it's a lot more affordable, like exponentially more affordable, like he's describing.
I'm not kidding. This is a real fucking thing, guys. And they're happy because they don't have that big of bills. I mean, think of Indonesia, guys. You send your 6-year-old to work at Nike to help pay for rent. All right? There's something to be learned from these people. I'm just kidding. Anyways, hell of a talk.
He's not kidding, actually, because he always wants to live below his means, and that's how you do it. You got to get creative. You got to think outside the box.
I think I'm good. You got any crazy ideas? Because I feel good about this conversation. I'm just kind of trying to really pick it apart.
I was trying to look up statistics about people that go from van life back to normal, quote unquote, normal living. I couldn't find anything. If you had to take a guess, you think most people go back to, you think the van life is like a temporary thing, or you think people are committing it?
That's a great question. Let's go.
I'd say it's temporary from what I've seen. People realize the cost, meaning you get if you don't really like traveling, you get exhausted of it after a while. The instability, and then if you park, like I said, you might as well just rent an apartment or try to buy a place. The price is so similar.
Go back. We'll wind it down here. I think.
Excuse me. Also, you might as well just go to another country because that's now popular. I'd say when the van life craze started a number of years ago, people weren't really leaving the country, not the average person. You were a freak if you left the country. Now the average Joe or Jane has got a way better deal overall. It just seems way more attractive to leave the country.
I think something like this gentleman here riding camels in Egypt. No, that's not the point of that. Oh, let me. How come I can't move this back?
Because if he's a single dude, it's sustainable.
Like this guy right here, the lawyer guy.
Yeah.
Like this.
Also, I want to say, you could do it raising kids, but Denise and I are married, but we're not raising kids. We're not raising plants. We don't have any pets. Those things make it exponentially more difficult to live on the road.
Dude's a fucking lawyer, guys. When you think lawyer, you think money. But I think it's a bigger deal, right? Like, I think he's not doing it because he can afford it. Back to people making great money, also looking at this as a viable option.
Yes.
Not just people not making good money. Not just people getting by on $40K a year going, fuck, I got to live in an RV. Yep. It's also lawyers going, I want to keep my money. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to work this fucking hard.
Yeah, they don't want to be a wage slave. They want to accumulate wealth. They want to become independently wealthy so they don't have to work. They want to live below their means. What else are you going to do while staying in the United States? Unless you happen to buy early. Like, I know the joke is Dave Ramsey says, but you should have bought a house when you were 5. Like, that's a joke. Like, I couldn't have done that. Well, you always could have bought a house immediately, or as soon as you could. But now, like I said, that gap is so big. This guy who's probably younger, he didn't have that opportunity, and he's still going to go for it. He still wants to be independently wealthy, and this is how you have to do thinking outside the box.
To not have any money.
We just reacted to a lawyer chick that moved back in with her parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not that $100K isn't a lot of money. It is. It just doesn't do it. It's not.
$250.
This is what you're getting.
Yep.
This is what you're fucking getting.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a short-term deal. It might be only a few years for this guy. Next thing you know, he's got $250,000 cash, and he could go, yeah, I think Oaxaca sounds nice.
Yeah, that's like Dave Ramsey. I'm giving him credit again. He says, live like no one else now, meaning live weird, live different. So later on, you can live like no one else, which means do whatever the hell you want. But you can't have both. You can't live like everyone's doing, which is basically in debt up to your eyeballs and living right at or above your means and expect to ever accumulate wealth.
In Mexico, and I could take my $250,000 and go spend $100,000 of it on a 3-bedroom house versus, well, we already looked at Detroit and Alabama. So that's kind of where my head's at. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way. I actually commend people for doing it. These people are, this guy was talking about how he was going to date a woman and she goes, oh, you live in an RV. That's not what I'm getting at here. Like, good luck convincing a woman to live in an RV.
It's true.
I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying.
It's like you're going to reduce the number of people that are willing to go along with you when you have that kind of a lifestyle. So you're giving that up too. You might be giving up one thing, which is higher cost, but then you're gaining another problem.
Have a standard in America. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And I'm part of that problem. Like, I feel that way too. Like, I don't want to say, like, I've lived in my car for 3 months. It wasn't great. Like, I can't last long term. Like, if I had to, I would for a bit.
Yeah, and that's kind of like my wife and I. We do that in the wintertime, from November through March. And then we're traveling a lot. A lot of times we're leaving the country. It's not just constant like that. It's a lot of variety. It's nice. Then we get back to our traditional dwelling units after that.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe this is the future. Maybe this is it. Maybe we get comfortable with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd say it's the future for the average Joe, the average Jane. You got to start looking out of the country, not the RV. I don't think so. I don't think that there's going to be too many laws. There's already, as more people are doing this, there's more laws that say you can't park the RV on certain pieces of land, even that you own, like I talked about earlier. And then there's other laws about where you can park even just a regular old car that doesn't have an RV, where you can park that on a daily basis or at night or even overnight. And they're passing more and more laws, basically making homelessness or mobile life illegal in a way. And it's been, if you look at the trends, it's been getting that way more and more over time. This isn't a new thing. It's been getting that way. And if you look back, 100 years, nobody had any laws like that I'm aware of on the books. It's only been as we've become more advanced, I guess, had a better standard of living. We've priced people out. All these regulations that make like living immobily and homelessness illegal, they all jack up the cost for everybody else who's around paying as a regular person.
Like, I'm going to make the best of it wherever I go, but I think that's the goal, though, is to get to a place where how do I own it? How do I have no bills? How can I make it so that I don't all my money? Think about this real quick.
Okay, I want to tell you guys, Jack, if you don't know, you probably don't know, both of his parents died, unfortunately, recently. He's only in his 30s. And one of them had a condo or a townhouse or something smaller, not a detached property, not on a lot of land. Not that that matters, but that's where he lives. He kind of inherited that, and he inherited the payments that go along with that. So otherwise, he not only probably wouldn't have previously become a homeowner until now that he's looking to start a family and settle down, but it would have been impossible, he's realizing now, if he was to start from zero. Thankfully, at least he has that. So he's built up probably some equity, and he's able to pay this on a monthly basis comfortably. But that he knows that he's not the normal 30-something at this point in time. I think the average age of a first-time home buyer is now like almost 40 years old. And I think that the average age of all home buyers is getting close to 60. I mean, it's not a young person's thing anymore.
Lawyer, think about the RV. Nestor, take notes of this.
Oh, and just so you all know about how I'm 55, I've seen a lot of change. I bought my first house when I was 22, 23. Second house when I was 24, and that house was like a giant house, like 3,000 square feet above grade, and then a 1,500 square foot basement on a half-acre lot, like an executive house. And I lived with all the baby boomers. Even then, this was in the early 90s, 1994. And I've owned a number of properties since then, but I got in early. And I had no idea. I'm just telling you, no idea that houses would ever take these kind of leaps like they had. I thought I saw what happened in the 80s when interest rates spiked and then came down, and then the value of prices went up in the late 80s around Black Friday when everything crashed, I think including the stock market. They went up so much around the time, and I started getting into the market in the 90s and thinking, well, I missed the big one. Oh, well, it's never going to happen again. And I'd say what's happened since then has been far in excess of that. Never would have thought this would happen. I always told people own real estate because it's a hedge against inflation, which it is. I had no idea that the government would be on a money printing spree, and that the large corporations would get into home ownership, and that the inflation would be insane.
Imagine this. Let's just say you are making crazy money. Let's say you're making 125 grand a year. That's not crazy, but that's really good. That's great money. That's fantastic.
No, 250 is great money. So that's half what you really need to feel really good in 2025, in my opinion. Let me know your comments if you think different.
125 grand a year, take home. Are you going to just go spend $4,000 a month on a mortgage? That's $50,000 a year, guys. You see what I'm saying? Like, think about it for real. Imagine, let's break it down small. You're making $6 grand a month. You're paying $2 grand a month in rent. That's a third of your income.
Yeah.
It's a third of your fucking income, dude. Like,
yep. And you can't even find a place that's decent for less than like $1,500 a month these days. I think anywhere. That's not even in a high cost area.
Imagine that. Yeah. Imagine every year, just by default, because now you only pay $500 a month for a plot of land. For this, by default, you're saving 15 grand a year.
So he's saying 500 a month would be what you pay for lot rent on an RV. And yeah, that's expensive. That probably doesn't even include most of the utilities on top of that.
On accident. Not on accident, but just like you don't have to pay for all this stuff. I don't know what the answer is, but
okay, let me know in the comments what you think. As I said, I think the answer now, if you look at how things have been going, is that the average Joe and Jane are recognizing now that it's better, and it's been happening for a few years at least, to get out of the U.S., have a better life somewhere else, work remotely, connect and keep in touch remotely, lower your costs, raise a family out there. Go to these places now that look attractive now, is my opinion, because they're not going to be as attractive anymore. It's going to be like what happened to the U.S. Everyone's going to pile in. That's going to happen to these other places too. So I'd recommend that unless you're expecting like a giant spike in your income, that you consider that as a real option. You put a lot of thought and research into that.
I like that we're talking about it, and I do think.
Well, I also want to mention if you're concerned about your health, if you care about your health, that's the real wealth. You don't want to be sick, and nobody does. You look at a Terra Frutis in Ecuador and our La Casa Mas Alta house, lacasamasalta.org. Just go rent it, see how it is. It is very different, but it's like one of the least expensive places you could ever live. You hardly need any money at all. It's unbelievable.
This is something I wrestle with in my mind because I don't have it all figured out.
Keep thinking about it.
My one skill in life is making people laugh and calling bullshit and talking to people.
Well, that's my big. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's calling bullshit on the housing market right now in the U.S. And thank God, because more and more people are waking up. And I don't know what the answer is, because the U.S. doesn't stop corporations from buying, doesn't stop non-U.S. citizens from buying, even people that don't live in the United States. There's all kinds of public assistance programs, but also jack up the price of everything artificially. We could go on and on. I don't know about any fixing and making it a better system here in the U.S., but at least for now, until they start clamping down and getting more strict in other countries, those are the better option, in my opinion.
Skill, guys. I think about this. I go, what am I going to do long term?
Yeah.
Like, what is the answer? I don't know if the answer's getting a bigger house. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the answer.
It's not.
And I'm facing this right now because we're making a deadline to move, and we don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know what to do. We kind of feel stuck, but even where I'm stuck, I think it's still expensive.
Yeah. He's only okay, and like I am, I'm only okay because I got in early. And in Florida, you have some great property tax benefits like he's probably benefiting from. He's probably got that homestead where he's locked in at a low rate of tax, and if he was to buy new, he would pay like thousands of dollars a year more in taxes alone. So, yeah, he's kind of stuck. He may just need to stay where he is, or he may need to look at something totally unorthodox, at least in recent history in the United States, which is leaving the U.S.
Where Nestor lives right now, this place, we're in Nestor's house, for $1,700 a month, guys, this is like...
Got to be at least $1,500, no matter where you are.
It creaks and cracks. There's pop.
Yeah, the bathroom situation.
The bathroom, shitty. The neighborhood itself, not the best.
A little
sketchy. It's not that bad. We're making it out to be, but this was the cheapest we could find.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad in Florida anymore because it's such an expensive state. Florida is now one of the most expensive states to live in, so you keep out so many people now, or they have to move out, and that's what he's seeing. It's still not all that great, but it's the worst of Florida is a lot better than what it used to be just 10 years ago. So much better. It's unbelievable.
Like, this place should be no more than $500 a month. Wouldn't you agree?
Gosh. Yeah, that's what hurts even big.
That's if he's talking early 90s prices. Like I had a apartment I rented in 1990 and 91, and it was put out by the government. It was a regular place in a regular apartment complex, but they had to reserve a certain amount for certain people with certain incomes that I fit because it was lower, and I had a family, I had a wife and a kid, had a household, and I was paying $640 a month for a one-bedroom with den in a close-in area in a DC suburb, in a nice DC suburb. The $500 just No way. No way. 500 should. I don't know what world they're living in.
Being stuck. I bet millions of Americans feel stuck, but even being stuck, it's not a good situation either. Like if we wanted to downgrade or save money, where would we go from here?
Yeah. This is the
you can't build wealth
option if you want to go downgrade. Yeah. This is it, guys.
Well, okay, so let's end it there. That's what it is here in the U.S. If you find the right setup living mobily, all right, and you're willing to do that, that's the way that you're going to build wealth as a household, without doing non-traditional like housemates, roommates thing in the United States in 2025, and probably going forward. It may get worse too. So let me know what you think. If you ever considered leaving the country, if you consider alternative stuff, we're going to have alternative stuff too on the properties that we have in the U.S. where people can live for free, ideally, is what we're going to have. But you have to be into this growing plants, zero chemicals type of a lifestyle, and it's not going to be a regular dwelling unit. Okay, it's not going to look appealing to most people who want the old American dream type of a situation, which was never really a reality anyway. But, I think what we are going to have with our nonprofit, aPlantBasedDiet.org, will be attractive to a lot more people in the near future. And we're barely getting that off the ground now. But when we do, I think the timing will be right. Let me know what you think is going to happen going forward. And if you're younger too, what are you doing about housing? What's your plan? What do you think you're going to do? I'd like to hear the comments from you. Thanks a lot for watching.